There's a light in the sky, rising in the air. There's a feeling so strong. It's time to light the fire, like a bright shining light. Getting more out of life, sharing time with friends, feeling so strong.
Hello, welcome to the season premiere of the House of Wellness for 2022. I'm Luke Darcy, and it is great to be back alongside the one and only Joe Stanley. Hello, Joe.
Darcy, it is so awesome to be back. I love sitting here with you every week.
Likewise.
And I tell you, the break, it did fly by, but it was just awesome, wasn't it?
Oh, how lucky were we, Joe, to get such a magnificent summer, and we certainly made the most of it. I loved the time at the beach with the family, and the sun was beautiful. Outstanding weather here in Melbourne. It's just great to be outdoors again, Joe.
Yes, and so our summer continues with hot days and nights, and we'll continue that theme today by looking at some of the hottest wellness trends for 2022. And one of the biggest asks is living sustainably. There's a huge move towards urban gardening and getting out into nature. The social researchers say green thumbs are here to stay.
And that is a good thing, Joe. After 2 years of confinement, outdoors is where we all want to be. And I don't think any of us are ever going to take being outdoors for granted again.
Oh, look, and it's no secret that digging around in the dirt and getting your hands dirty can reduce stress and anxiety. And you don't need a huge garden to get the benefits, Darcy. You know, my daughter Willow and I have been out. We've got a little balcony, so we've been planting some little sort of, you know, pots and some gorgeous little spaces and hanging gardens. It's so lovely, and it's one of the big trends this year. It's all about sustainability.
Yeah, well done, Joe. Love hearing that. And someone who's certainly been able to sustain their popularity, changing gear, is Michael Bublé, and not just because he's got a beautiful voice as well, Joe.
Oh, he is so down to earth, and he's got a special connection here, which is why he keeps coming back. Plus, he knows all too well the value of family and good health after his little boy battled with cancer a few years ago. Young Noah is now recovered, thankfully, and Sarah Davidson was lucky enough to catch up with the Canadian King of Chill.
Michael Bublé, thank you so much for dropping by the House of Wellness. We are so thrilled to have this time here with you today. I have heard that you actually wanted to be a famous singer from the age of 2, which is very ambitious and very advanced for a 2-year-old. So is that actually the case?
I don't think I was 2, but I had definitely at a very young age, I would have been about 3 or 4 probably, when I would articulate to my mother that this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a singer, yeah. And it's weird because it disturbed her, because I was so adamant about it that years later she would always say, I always found it very strange that you were so sure about this.
Do you think that the voice came first, or that you were so adamant that you wanted to be a singer that then you trained yourself into it? Like, which kind of came first for you?
Yeah, to be fair, I think that I wanted to be a singer, but I also wanted to be a fire truck. And but music was always really special to me. And I mean, it's funny, like people will ask many times how I fell in love with the Great American Songbook and Dean Martin and Sinatra and all those guys. And really the truth is a lot of it came from the Bing Crosby record playing in our house at Christmas. And that was my introduction to jazz music and to the musicianship and the arrangements. And it was something that I loved, and I loved the artists. And so I would go and find all of my favorite artists. My grandfather, who I was so close to, would play me all these great songs. And almost by osmosis, I would take them in and I would start to steal and copy and impersonate. And when I did that for so many years, I started to find me and my voice and who I was. And hard work and ambition met a ton of luck, and a ton of people who really went out of their way to help me, and for nothing in return, just because they loved me and believed in me. So it's been a very weird, very wild ride.
Did you ever waver away from this dream? And you said your parents were a little bit surprised that you wanted to be a singer. Did you ever get pressured or feel pulled towards other career paths, or was it always this?
I think when I turned about 26, 27, I had worked in the nightclubs from about 16 years old, 17. And I had worked for a little more than 10 years, and it wasn't happening. I mean, the agencies and the record companies weren't interested. They would say the same thing. You're a really talented kid, but there's no way we can make money from this. So I was going to go back to school to become a journalist. You know, my kids love music. They love it, love it. It's a huge part of their life the same way it was mine. And I can see it happening. And I keep telling them that the real win is that when you find something that you love to create, whether that's, you know, acting or writing or making a dress or whatever you do, that is such a beautiful gift, because that romance will never leave you. I mean, girls will leave you, business partners might leave you. Romance that you find between yourself and creating something that brings you that kind of fulfillment, that never goes away.
I think that definitely shines through, and perhaps that is actually why so many people have found Bublé songs to be such a special part of their life. But I also know, because we're all about health and wellness here, that singers actually have to take really good care of their nodules and their voices, and it's not something, I think we take it for granted that you can just sing, you know, like that. But how do you take care of yourself? Has your throat or have your vocal cords ever kind of failed you, and how do you make sure that your health and wellness is tip-top?
Well, not smoking and drinking is pretty good tip. And something that it took me well into my mid-30s to understand. I wasn't a machine, and I really was so lazy and so careless that I didn't take care of and now I'm like, really, no joke, I'm an athlete. Like I work out hard every day. I'm careful about, you know, on off days, I don't do a lot of yelling and screaming, and I'm pretty careful. But you know, I think more than anything, I think your mental well-being is the number one thing. You really have to be so strong in keeping yourself within an environment of positivity. And by the way, we have all learned in this last few years how fragile our mentality is, how fragile our mental health is.
Yeah.
The power of music is huge. I think the power of prayer is huge. I think the power of now having an opportunity to be together. I mean, listen, I think we have to find a place of empathy to just bring a little light into each other's lives.
Absolutely. And I've definitely turned back to those smaller rituals each day. And I think one thing that's been really empowering has been going back to just spraying a little bit of perfume on before I leave the house after so long of not being able to do so. And of course, my husband and I are not just fans of Michael Bublé, the performer, but also of Michael Bublé, the fragrance connoisseur. So I've got him onto your amazing first men's range, Michael Bublé Pour Homme. But for me, it is, of course, the incredible women's range, starting with By Invitation, but then my latest favourite is this beautiful rose gold. I have dressed to match the occasion. What has it been like to create a perfume, and how do you capture an aroma?
I really enjoyed it. It was really fulfilling for me as a musician to realize how in step creating a fragrance was with music. So when my manager said, listen, you can go with a chemist, you can go with the perfumers. And so I literally went, and I spent days with my white lab coat, you know, taking different notes, just like you would as a musician, as a singer, and taking all these notes and trying to find the right harmony. I love the fact that these fragrances empower people and give them, women and men, a chance to just feel a little bit better.
Oh, absolutely. And I think something else that's really wonderful about the entire range is also that it does represent that we silo ourselves very much into, I'm a singer, I'm a lawyer, I'm a banker. But I think if, you know, the last few years have shown us anything, it's that you can be anyone. You can change your mind, you can try new things, you can get out of your comfort zone and become a perfumer, you know, whenever you want. So as we all embark on a new chapter, can you just finish by giving us a little bit of advice on starting something new?
I would say you and I are on the same wavelength, and I think it's such a great positive mind frame to have. And I think even as a parent, I would say the biggest mistake we make as moms and dads and friends is when people say, I want to do this, and they say, there's no money in it. Well, because number one, money isn't the end all and be all, but number two, everything can be monetized, everything. And especially when you have passion and true belief. And so don't ever close somebody off. Let them have their dream and try to help them achieve it. And I have a feeling that many of the times they may just really surprise you. And more than that, you probably allow someone to really shine and for their light to be really bright. And we need more of it in the world. We need more happy people right now. It's a cynical world. So I think we can help each other out a lot by changing our environment that way.
Can you believe, Joe, that is album number 11 that is coming out in March. Now, you've met a lot of people through Breakfast Radio. Have you ever come across Michael Bublé?
I've interviewed him a number of times for House of Wellness, actually, and he is a delight. I believe we have quite a connection.
Really?
Michael
Well, I thought I had a connection with him too. He genuinely is a nice guy, isn't he?
He really is. And as long as he keeps churning out the tunes, I'm tipping there'll be lots more coming, Das. And the album is called Higher, so look out for that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Ever wondered what happens to old wetsuits, Joe, changing gear?
Well, other than the one that sits on my line for all of summer, because my husband won't take it off, I have never considered what happens to old wetsuits, but I can't wait to find out right after this.
Today we're talking the wellness trends predicted to dominate 2022. Now, I don't think, Joe, sustainability ever goes out of fashion, but have you heard of eating for the environment?
Well, it's about food. So, of course, I have. I love my food. According to the United Nations, one of the biggest things we can do to slow global warming is eat less meat, which is a little tricky for me because I do love my steak.
You love a steak, Joe. You did have that little patch where you were vegan.
I was never vegan. I've told you that.
That's the last time I'm going to mention that. I promise you. I will not mention that again this year. But it is considered a big greenhouse gas emitter. So apparently some people are having meat-free days. How about that, Joe? How does that sit with you?
Well, we do try to have at least 1 or 2 meat-free days. Meat-free Monday, it's a big thing.
Really?
You know, do you not do a meat-free Monday?
And then Taco Tuesday.
Yeah, all of that, that's right. And there's lots of other positive food choices for the planet, like eating less junk food, minimising food waste and not eating more than you need. So don't be greedy with what you're putting down the hatch. But I'm passionate about this. I always say to my family, I'm not buying it if I'm going to end up throwing it out. So you better eat those blueberries, because otherwise I won't buy them again.
Well, I think most people are up for doing their bit. And I love this story. 2 Aussie boat builders cleaning up the world's oceans with sea bins. We ran the story last year and they scoop up more than 3,500 kilos of trash every day.
Now, another Aussie icon, Rip Curl, is adding its weight to the fight for sustainability. They're turning old wetsuits into child's play.
It's hard to believe that right up until the 60s, surfers were braving even the coldest waves in nothing but a pair of togs. These days, wetsuits are a second skin for any serious surfer.
Living in Victoria, unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of warm water, so having a good wetsuit is a must, and so every surfer down here will generally have a bunch of wetsuits.
There's just one problem. Neoprene, the waterproof synthetic rubber that most wetsuits are made from, is next to impossible to recycle.
Being a surfer, you do have a strong affinity with the environment and with your local environment, so doing a small thing to help reduce your negative impact on that environment and help keep our oceans cleaner is something that's really important.
As one of the largest manufacturers of wetsuits in the world, Rip Curl have become increasingly aware of their environmental footprint.
I think in particular in the last decade, the business has been on a journey to ensure that everything that we do within the business is more of a closed loop and more sustainable. And a lot of it's been driven by our consumers.
Rip Curl's environmental social governance manager, Shasta O'Loughlin, has spent years searching for a way to keep customers' old wetsuits out of landfill. But until recently, nothing had stuck.
Neoprene's a really hard material. You think someone surfs probably 2 to 3 years in the same suit. It's going in the ocean, which obviously has salt. A lot of people wee in their wetsuits, so they're contaminated materials. So to try and find something that we can actually put it into is a challenge.
Yes, it's been a holy grail of ours for many years. We've used the wetsuits for a range of things over the decades, including archery butts, punching bags and the like, but we just had way too many wetsuits.
It wasn't until last year that the company finally found a long-term solution by partnering up with international recycling company TerraCycle.
Our core business and what we're most known for is the recycling programs that we run for products that are typically not recyclable and would go to landfill. Products like coffee capsules, toothbrushes and toothpaste tubes, razors, toys, you name it. Like, there's so many of them. And now we are very proud to partner with Rip Curl to make wetsuits recyclable in Australia.
Thanks to TerraCycle's unique global resources, all Australians can now bring in or mail old wetsuits of any brand to select Rip Curl stores, where they'll go on to serve a surprising new purpose.
The second life essentially is child playground matting that you see in various play parks.
So it's not the top layer of the matting, it's not the coloured sort of nice matting that you see, because wetsuits are all different colours, so it's basically the underlay, so sort of like carpet underlay that sits underneath and gives us that soft cushioning feel for safety if children fall down.
When I first heard about the program, I thought it's a great way to get surfers involved with, you know, reducing our impact on the environment. You know, obviously being a mum and having kids and going to the playground, the ones with the soft fall matting are always a benefit. So I think it's a great way to reuse something that would normally go to landfill.
The program itself has had such great response from our customers. It feels really good to be able to deliver something that we're so passionate about. And now we want to expand globally. So I'm in discussions on a European and a US expansion on this. And I think that's what makes TerraCycle such a great partner, because they do have that global footprint.
We need to change our mindset and think that everything can be recyclable. The question is like, who is willing to pay for it and run those schemes? And are we willing to innovate and look for local companies that can take the material and turn it into something useful?
You know, Darcy, I have burned into my memory you on a surfboard at Waikiki Beach when we were in Hawaii.
One of the great experiences of all time. Now, you shouldn't laugh, Joe. It wasn't that funny. It was actually brilliant. I didn't need a wetsuit in the water in Hawaii. No. How beautiful. That is the perfect water temperature, Joe. And I can sort of picture you. I was out surfing. You were weeding Hawaii.
I was in a swamp, knee-deep, pulling mangroves out. It was amazing. It was a part of tourists giving back to the community program, which I absolutely loved. It's good to visit somewhere and give something back other than buying margaritas, which is what I normally do.
You did a great job, Joe. Very proud of you back then.
Kind all started when my wife and I travelled overseas and we saw a world in need, whether it was the environment or people with nutritional gaps. At Kind, there's three things that really matter to us. It's about being kind to the planet, kind to others, but it all starts with being kind to you, our consumers, with products based on traditional and scientific evidence. We've got some really exciting products just being launched now with Kind. Our most popular product, though, still without a doubt, is our Collagen Plus. But off the back of that, we've launched our Beauty Sleep Collagen. We've also launched a Sleep Plus Magnesium and also a stress relief product. Yes, at Kind, we work really hard to try to be kind to the planet, and we do that by replacing the traditional plastic cap with a bamboo cap, and bamboo is biodegradable, plus a recyclable glass bottle. And we try to give back to others by making it really simple. We're Australia's first one-for-one supplement brand. And what that means is that a consumer can go in and buy a Kind product, and we donate an immunity powder to Australian in need, one for one. And we're really proud. We've donated over 140,000 immunity products to women's refuges, homeless shelters. And so we really do believe we're spreading kindness throughout Australia, and that's what our consumers are helping us do.
Matt Stenmark there, who's all about sustainability and fostering a good relationship with the environment. Now, Joe, you and Daz have been together for a long time. Exactly how long?
Married 22 years, so together 24 years. And you?
19 years this year.
Yes.
Now, anyone in a relationship, Joe, will know that it's not always smooth sailing, and there's a fair bit of give and take in most relationships. So in your view, what's the one all-important trait in maintaining a healthy relationship like the one you've got?
I would say kindness, in that you have to always, be willing to see the best in the other person. Even when when they're driving you crazy and you want to highlight their flaws, you need to be able to go, actually, but I can see that they are an amazing person.
Not normally handing out relationship advice, Joe, but the thing I reckon Beck and I have always done, we walk. We walk every day at some point.
Together?
Together. Not apart. Walk together. So it just gives you that time to just sort of chat, work out that you're on the same page. It's been a good one for us.
So that's about quality time together and choosing to remain connected. You guys are great. You often have holidays with just the two of you. It's lovely. You've got 4 children, so you need to do that, don't you? But navigating relationships is probably the hardest job that a lot of us have to deal with every day on so many levels, but especially with a partner. American psychologist Dr. John Gottman was so intrigued by why some relationships work and some don't that he spent 40 years researching couples and marriage. So you'd think he'd know a thing or two about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Found 4 negative communication styles that couples do that are good predictors, Joe, whether a relationship will survive. And he calls them the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Sounds very doom and gloom, but there is a way to spot them and stop them from rearing up and leaving your love life in the dust. Here's more from relationship therapist Lauren Muratore. What are the 4 horsemen?
Yeah, the 4 horsemen are criticism, defensiveness, contempt, and stonewalling.
So those are 4 things that we all do.
Exactly, we're all human.
When does it actually become a problem?
I think once it starts eroding, every couple or every relationship are going to have perpetual problems. And, you know, these are things that we're going to talk about all the time. But it's how you talk about the problems and how you actually communicate with your partner that really have a lot to do with couple satisfaction and if they feel safe, secure, loved, respected.
So let's go through them. The first one being criticism.
So criticism is really kind of talking about somebody's character, like, you know, you're always late. What's wrong with you? You know, you always do things wrong. If we want a gender stereotype, that women more often than not will use criticism in their ways of fighting or communicating poorly. If we looked at it, there's a difference between criticizing somebody and complaining, right? You can complain about something like, you know, oh, the house was a mess when I got home and I feel really not valued, or I'm really exhausted. But if you say, hey, you did that, you never do anything right, you never pick up after yourself, it's a very different kind of conversation.
So what is the antidote to criticism?
Yeah, so the antidote to criticism is basically a soft start. So it's I feel. So using I feel overwhelmed when I have to do all the housework. I'm feeling overwhelmed when something happens, right? You're talking about your feelings and what's going on around you. And you can even ask for what you need.
So the second one is defensiveness.
Yeah, and sometimes that could be tied in with criticism as well. So defensiveness is not taking responsibility. No, I didn't do that. I did that because you did that, right? So it's really just kind of engaging in back and forth. And defensiveness is pretty easy to work with because really you're just asking somebody to take responsibility for their actions. And that actually diffuses a situation quite well because then you won't get into the criticism and then the scoreboarding.
The third one is contempt.
Yes.
How does that work?
Now, that's probably one of the most detrimental ones because it's very disrespectful and it's basically saying it's coming from a place of superiority, like I'm better than you. So that can look like nonverbal cues like eye rolling. It can be sarcasm. It can be just mocking the other person, and it really kind of makes the other person not feel valued, safe, and respected. So that's really one to be mindful of.
And the fourth one is stonewalling.
Stonewalling. And yes, if we looked at gender roles again, more often than not, males are very good at, or that's their go-to. 85% usually of genders are males who stonewall. And that's basically getting so emotionally flooded or overwhelmed with the content of the conversation that they just shut down, right? A person will just stop listening. They might walk away from the situation. They're just basically shutting down and just telling the person, I'm not listening to you anymore.
So what's the antidote to stonewalling?
So that's physiological soothing. And what that means is really being aware of, when your buttons are really being pushed and when you're really at that kind of boiling point. So if the content's getting really emotional or really, really heightened, you're not listening anymore, even just verbalizing that to your partner. Look, I'm starting to shut down. I'm getting overwhelmed in this conversation. Do you mind if I take a 10-minute walk? I really need to cool down.
And what's the antidote for someone if it's their partner who's stonewalling?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's being patient with your partner and actually knowing that you're going to get better information from them, right? So giving them the space and the time to do that. Sometimes they might not need 24 hours to calm down.
So if we're now aware in our relationship that the 4 horsemen are coming into play, what should we do about that?
Well, I mean, I guess you have a couple options. Like, you know, going to couples therapy is a really good place because then you can actually have a third party hear how you speak to one another and really kind of call it and get you to practice in sessions speaking to each other better. And a lot of couples come in to, you know, find better communication methods and tools so that they can fight smarter at home. They can have difficult conversations. So if you can at least be mindful of the horsemen and, you know, how you can be a better communicator, that's kind of half the battle.
So, Jo, can you identify with any of that?
I mean, not for myself. No, but I do identify with that loop of criticism, defensiveness, criticism. And sometimes you go, how did this start? Was it me that started this or you? But really you have to own that the two of you are in that and kind of feeding it together, aren't you?
Do you ever go to? You're not a stonewaller if you're... No, definitely not.
Daz can be, and which is really helpful when I follow him around the house, demanding a response.
I can maybe get a little defensive at times, I think, if I'm being honest.
Yes.
Well, all a work in progress.
I'm sure all of us are guilty of one or more of those tactics, but what I like about this research is that there are practical ways to recognise what's going on and how to fix it, and you both have to be on board with it. So, you know, that's pretty important, I think.
Well, someone who's used to being a bit defensive on the footy ground anyways, a rising AFLW star who's kicking goals for racial equality. That's next on the House of Wellness.
I think it's really important to choose products that have natural ingredients in there, particularly ones like mascara. I mean, you're wearing it so close to your eyes. That area is such a sensitive area. And when you're applying a product in there that have really toxic materials like coal tar or petroleum, I mean, it is absorbing into your body. And in a mascara case, it actually affects the condition of your lashes. The New by Nature Volumizing Mascara is the first and only Australian 100% natural volumizing mascara. That's what I love first and foremost. The second thing is it's really kind on your eyes and it is packed full of really amazing goodies like poppy seed oil and a native Kakadu plum, which is super hydrating, nourishing. For me, the end game with this mascara is that it delivers. It gives me amazing results. So it really thickens the lash in one clean sweep. The formula is really lush. It has a beautiful sheen to it. The colors, the brown and the black, super vivid. I mean, mascara is the perfect accessory for any eye look. So whether you're just wearing it on its own and super simple, it's just gonna frame your eyes. It's gonna really bring out your eyes. It's a foolproof product.
Celebrity makeup artist Max May there with some great tips on how to pump up your lashes with cruelty-free, plant-based beauty products. And he makes a good point about what's in a lot of mascaras and how close it is to the eyes. So right now, everything is about sustainability in all its forms, Das.
No idea what you just said then, Jo, but it sounded like you knew exactly what was going on. And not just about the environment as well. Exercise and medicine is already making a big impact, with doctors being encouraged to prescribe specific exercises to their patients. Now, that's a good thing.
I love this. It's not just encouraging patients to exercise, but actually prescribing them a physical program that fits with their current treatment. And it does make perfect sense, doesn't it, given the GP or the specialist knows our medical history?
Yeah, it's like going to the gym and getting your exercise program, only it's your health professional tailoring the program, which, to me, treating things holistically makes perfect sense and, you know, is something we need to think about.
Yeah, it's about understanding that you want to keep moving your body, but you have to do it in safe ways as well. So when you've got a health professional prescribing the exercise for you, I really love that idea.
Yeah, and looking at health through the eyes of nutrition, as well as medicine, as well as exercise, as well as your own well-being, something we've been very passionate about here on the House of Wellness for a long time.
Absolutely. So just as exercise should be a part of all of our lives, so is rest and recovery. That's my favourite part. of
rest and
exercise.
recovery.
The rest. I like the rest part. But they're the quinella of the muscles and heart, so that when you need it, you'll have energy to burn.
So it doesn't matter what sort of flash car you drive. If there's no energy source in the car doesn't move. So if you think about our cells, which are the units of function in the body, the mitochondria creates energy. Just like the fuel source in your car, the mitochondria is the fuel source in the body. One of the major drivers of the mitochondria is coenzyme Q10 in its active form, which is ubiquinol.
A fat-soluble antioxidant found naturally in every cell, ubiquinol acts as the spark plug our bodies need for energy production. It also has a role in supporting heart health, male fertility, and healthy cholesterol. But like many processes in the body, ubiquinol isn't spared from the effects of ageing.
This is the problem. Our bodies were designed, evolutionary-wise, to function well for 30, 40 years wandering around a jungle with a spear. So if you don't have good levels of ubiquinol, which drop in the body, especially as you get over 30 and precipitously when you hit 50, then you may not have enough energy.
This fatigue is a sign of less energy production in the powerhouse mitochondria that's found in our cells and necessary for our organs and bodies to work well. While ubiquinol comes from a variety of foods, maintaining our energy means we can never have enough of it in our lives.
To me, ubiquinol is one of the major chemicals in the body. It is in foods, but for example, you've got to have about 10 kilos a day of broccoli, a kilo and a half of sardines, or 3 kilos of steak to get 100 milligrams of ubiquinol. So I think it's important to have some sort of supplement which will give you that extra bit of ubiquinol you need for energy. And I think it's important people speak to their health professionals about where they can best source that.
Joe, I have to say, one of my favourite moments of the summer was watching Ash Barty win the Australian Open. She's the first Aussie to win the Grand Slam in 44 years, and she is a superstar.
Oh, it was just brilliant. And then seeing tennis champ Dylan Alcott named Australian of the Year, I just loved that too. What about his acceptance speech? It was so brilliant, funny as always, and just beautiful and touching, especially when he said he used to hate his wheelchair, but now sees his disability as the best thing that ever happened to him. Just amazing.
Such an inspiration, Dylan Alcott, no doubt about that, Joe. And sport really is the ultimate unifier for me, and he's clearly shown that anyone can hit a ball or kick a footy or hit the water regardless of life situation or your race or your background.
As has rising AFLW star Haneen Zarika, the 22-year-old became the first Australian Muslim woman to play footy when she debuted for GWS in 2019. And once she got a taste of Aussie rules, there was no stopping her.
I started playing rugby league when I was 6, and then I played in the boys team, and my 2 brothers played. So Mum said, "Oh yeah, you can go." Like the coach asked Mum if I could go play, and she didn't think anything of it. But I just went training, and then he goes, "Oh, I want your daughter to play in my team," and she's like, "Really?" So she let me play because my 2 older brothers played, and then from 6 to 12. I played in the boys team, and then I just kept doing school sport. When I was 13, 14, 15, just played every sport in school. And then one day, my teacher calls me across the playground and tells me, "Hey, come here." He goes, "There's a guy here to deliver a program for the boys." And I was like, AFL program. I was like, "Sir, I don't know what AFL is." And he's like, "Just catch, kick and tackle and you'll be all right." And I'm like, "Yeah, all right, no worries." I love to be out of class. So I was like, went and joined with the boys. And from there on, the guy goes, "She can play." So I got down to our local team and went through the pathways and love it.
Going to McDonald, a risky kick because Zarika's there in the pocket on her left. Sizes up the goals. Haneen Zarika.
You feel like an athlete, and I think the people that I've met through AFL, they're probably my best mates now. I'm so lucky that I got introduced to this sport and the people I've met, and just I think everything happens for a reason.
Well done by Haneen Zarika. And a good finish too. Just what they needed, the GWS Giants.
Take me back 5-10 years ago, I didn't know who Giants were. I didn't know what AFL was. So coming from West Sydney, we have a new team here. I think it's grown. We have a lot of members now, like growing our members, and so many other kids getting involved in AFL. Even when I'm at school, West Sydney's a lot of rugby league based, but now I see kids playing AFL and loving it. Being the first Muslim AFLW player, I think it's incredible. I've been so lucky that I've had the support from so many people to get me to where I am, and I just want to pave the way to the next generation. Hopefully I could start a foundation and just give it back. I want young girls, especially diverse girls, to have a chance to play sport. And there's a lot of Muslim girls that ask me, I tell them, oh my God, it's a beautiful sport for a girl to play. And I think I always tell them, I go to them, if there's a sport to choose, it's AFL. And I really hope they choose and pursue it. I just want to see more young Muslim girls be given the opportunity that I've been given. I want to coach girls, I want to develop girls, I want to make a pathway for girls that don't have that and get girls involved and create the opportunity for them. So yeah, that's something I want to do after footy.
It's amazing to think the AFLW only started 5 years ago, and now it's turning out star players like Haneen. I just love it.
Yeah, what a great story Haneen is in every sense of the word, particularly in the western part of Sydney, to have the GWS AFLW team doing such great things. And I've loved, Joe, going back to the old suburban football ground, supporting the Bulldogs AFLW team at the Whitten Oval. It's really brought community football, and the girls have brought so much diversity and leadership to a space that we're all really proud of.
Oh, absolutely. And I agree. The crowd at an AFLW game is so different. It's warm, it's kind. There is that beautiful diversity, and everybody kind of gets there and just really loves the fact that it's a joy to watch their team play, but also all of the players. It's amazing.
Usually I'm woken up by a crying child or a child that's standing right beside my bed. The coffee on the stove. Meat, because I'm vegan. There you go. I love cherries, but I hate cherry flavoured things. Is that strange? It's very strange, isn't it? Strange. Yeah, I'd probably never be able to do like a marathon because I couldn't run on pavements. My knee would explode. People tell me I can't do something. Determined.
Well, Joe, we've tapped into some emerging health trends that are shaping up to be huge this year, but here's one that might have a little limited lifespan. It's faux muting, aka fake commuting. Given we're now working from home a lot more, we're trying to work a solution to get people moving.
OK, so a lot of people are happy that working from home has killed off that daily commute to the office. But some physios in the UK say the lack of movement is contributing to an increase in aches and pains. So the solution is to do some faux muting. So that is walk, run, ride a bike, anything. Just move your body every day before and after work, kind of like you would if you were commuting. It kind of makes sense, I think. I mean, I don't know about the name, faux muting, but, you know.
Needs a little bit of work, but I think naming an activity actually helps create the trend, so we're working on that one. But the other point is that some experts are saying that the transition from home to work is a mental preparation as well in going to work, and then releasing the stress in the commute home is important.
Yeah, so one trend I'm loving is that every person and their dog, certainly in our house, is talking about walking. Newly fit celebrities are saying it's all down to walking well, and some of them are quitting the booze as well. And Prince William recently tweeted the royal family's passion for walking, and that even at 95, Her Royal Highness Queen Elizabeth walks her corgis every day. I love that.
She does a bit of both. She's extraordinary. Yeah. She's fit and healthy. She was forced to give up horse riding last year, but was back in the saddle in almost no time, the Queen. So she is incredible. Well, that is it for our first show for 2022, Joe.
It is so awesome to be back, Darcy. In fact, let's do it next week, shall we?
I'm ready.
Why not? In the meantime, you can catch me and Gerald Quigley on the House of Wellness radio show on Sunday.
And don't miss the Wellness Plus lift out in your weekly paper with more of the latest wellness trends for this year in 2022. And thanks, as always, to our great friends at Chemist Warehouse. We'll see you next time.
There's a feeling strong.